Assalamu alaikum. Once again, welcome to my YouTube channel by the name MS Lectures. Today, I would be representing you the topic of the biochemistry, which is the oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. This topic, oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve, holds a very important aspect in the biochemistry because it actually illustrates us the graphical representation of the external and internal respiration. So let's start our lecture. First of all, I would like to explain you our y-axis and x-axis. Our x-axis actually depicts the partial pressure of the oxygen at different levels, at the tissue level and at the lungs level, where the gases exchange occur between the alveoli and the pulmonary capillaries. So, talking about our y-axis now, this is the percentage saturation of the hemoglobin. It actually tells us that how much content of oxygen does hemoglobin contain in it. And I would like to add some more points in it. Actually, hemoglobin consists of the four subunits, and they are actually very tightly packed together. So oxygen finds a very difficulty in binding to the hemoglobin. So once one oxygen atom is bound to the hemoglobin, it becomes easier for the other oxygen atom to bound to them, to the hemoglobin. So at that state, hemoglobin becomes full of oxygen atoms and its dissociation becomes easy. So let's move on to our lecture. Now then, first of all, talking about this curve. This curve is S-shaped, and this S-shaped curve is known as the sigmoid curve. So this graph, it is the sigmoid curve. Now, first of all, I will tell you about this black line, which is actually illustrating us the tissue, the exchange of the oxygen and the gas at the tissue level when the body is at rest conditions. So this is the level of the lungs, and at that level the partial pressure of the oxygen is 104 millimeter of mercury, and this is the level of the lungs, arterial systematic blood, where the gaseous exchange occurs between the alveoli and the pulmonary capillaries. So we will move to the left, and we see that at the level, till the level of the 60 millimeter of mercury, the oxygen saturation of hemoglobin is not changing. But as we move further down, we can see that the saturation of oxygen in the hemoglobin decreases. So comparing to the oxygen saturation at the tissue level and at the lungs level, we will talk about now. Now, this is the level of the tissue. You can see at the tissue level, the partial pressure of the oxygen is 40 millimeter of mercury, and the oxygen saturation of hemoglobin is 75%. So it means that 23% of oxygen has been dissociated. So at tissue level, 75% of oxygen is present in hemoglobin. So we can say that when 23% of oxygen from this position has been unloaded at the tissue level, and so at that point hemoglobin contains only 75% of the oxygen saturation. So this saturation is present in the venous blood. In the venous blood. I would like to explain more that what actually happens in this tissue. Let's suppose this is the capillary and this is the tissue, and these are the red blood cells and hemoglobin. So oxygen continuously is unloaded at the tissue level, and the CO2, because the metabolism process is occurring in the tissue, so that's why CO2 is coming out, and this CO2 is actually causing more dissociation of the hemoglobin towards the tissues. So when the hemoglobin contains 75% of the oxygen, so we can say that this is the venous blood, because venous blood consists of the less oxygen as compared to the arterial blood. So now we will be doing some calculations here. Now then, we know that 98% of oxygen saturation is present in the arterial blood at the level of lungs. The saturation of oxygen in the hemoglobin, it is 98%. But when it unloads its all oxygen atoms, so it only contains 75% of oxygen and 23% is unloaded. So 75% of oxygen is present at the venous blood at the tissue level. So subtracting it, so 23% is unloaded, is unloaded to the tissues. So this is the difference. So now let's suppose, now during the exercise what happens that the partial pressure of oxygen in the tissue drops. So let's suppose during the exercise the partial pressure of oxygen drops, and at this position, at this particular location, the dissociation becomes more quick and also more content of oxygen actually dissociated towards the tissues. And we can see that through this graph. You can see that during the exercise at the tissue level, only 30% of oxygen saturation is present in the hemoglobin. So what does it mean? It means that from the 98% to this position, 68% of oxygen has been dissociated. So doing calculation here like this, 98% we know that of oxygen is present at the arterial blood. So at the tissue level, 30% of oxygen saturation is present at the tissue level, at the venous blood, and subtracting it, it means that 68% is unloaded. So this is the huge difference if we compare it with the rest condition. At rest condition, what happens that from 98% the oxygen saturation has dropped to 75% and it has unloaded 23% of oxygen. But during the exercise, the partial pressure of oxygen drops to 20 millimeter of mercury. So that's why 68% of oxygen content has been unloaded, dissociated towards the tissue, because the metabolic rate is very high. Now we will be discussing in more detail that what actually happens during the exercise, that why more dissociation occurs as compared to the rest conditions. This is due to this various reasons. So now discussing the factors which actually cause the more and quick dissociation of oxygen at the tissues during the exercise. So let's suppose this is the capillary and these are the tissues. These are the tissues. So constantly the red blood cells containing the hemoglobin is dissociating oxygen towards the tissues, and as a result of the metabolism, the tissues are excreting the CO2. Now due to the more excretion of the CO2, due to the high metabolism during the exercise, what happens that the environment becomes acidic and more H ions are produced. Due to the more concentration of H ions which are accumulated in this region, the pH actually drops. And also due to the more metabolism, a compound known as the 2,3-BPG, which is known as the 2,3-biphosphoglycerate, is produced in more concentration. So these factors actually causes the hemoglobin to dissociate the oxygen more quickly and a lot more concentration. So this is these are the factors which are involved in more dissociation of the oxygen at the tissue level during the exercise, and that's why the 68% of oxygen is unloaded at the tissue level during the exercise. Now talking about these two blue and red curves. Now there are various factors which actually cause this normal curve to shift towards the right and left. First of all, talking about this right curve, which is actually illustrated by the blue color, and what are the factors which causes this right curve to be occur. So this right curve, this actually happens due to the Bohr effect. Now actually what happens at the Bohr effect? During the Bohr effect, the H ions are produced in large concentration, and due to this pH drops, more production of the 2,3-biphosphoglycerate, and temperature is also increased. So due to this, the normal curve shift to the right curve, and that's why this occurs, which is known as the Bohr effect. So what if now we will compare this right curve with the normal curve. In the normal curve, what happens that the 23% of oxygen was unloaded from the lungs level to the tissue level. But in this particular right curve, what happens that from the 98% oxygen saturation of the hemoglobin, what happens that this is a 60 percent of oxygen in the hemoglobin. So 38% of oxygen is dissociated at the tissue level, where the partial pressure of oxygen is 40 millimeter of mercury. So we can clearly see that in the normal condition 23% of oxygen was dissociated, but during this right curve more oxygen is actually dissociated, and we can see that this is the level, and here at this particular level the oxygen saturation of hemoglobin is 60%, and we can see that 38% of oxygen has been dissociated at this level during the right curve, but in the normal only 23% was dissociated. So writing this, that due to the Bohr effect, the curve shift to the right and more oxygen dissociation occur as compared to the normal. This is the arterial blood concentration of oxygen, and what happened now, 60% of oxygen saturation is present at the tissue level during this right curve. So by subtracting it, we can see that 38% of oxygen is unloaded during this right curve due to the Bohr effect. And that's why during this right curve hemoglobin is said to be in its relaxed state, because the dissociation of the oxygen molecules is very easy. So that's why we can say that during the right curve the hemoglobin is actually present at its relaxed state. Now talking about what are the factors that causes the curve to shift toward the left, which is represented by the red color. Now this effect, you can say left shifting is due to the effect which is known as the Haldane effects. This red curve is due to the Haldane's effect. Now what is this Haldane's effect? This occurs due to the less hydrogen ions concentration, more pH, less amount of 2,3-biphosphoglycerate, and less temperature. So these are the conditions which actually force the normal sigmoid curve to the left, which is actually due to the Haldane's effect. Because these are the factors, we know that when H ions are in less concentration, the environment is less acidic, which would actually cause the dissociation of the oxygen from the hemoglobin very difficult. And that's why when the hemoglobin is present at its left curve, what happens that the dissociation is very difficult, and that's why it is known as the tense state. And now I will show that how the dissociation of oxygen is difficult at this tense state during the left curve. You can see this is the lungs level, and here 98% of oxygen is present in the hemoglobin. You can say the saturation of oxygen in the hemoglobin is 98% at the lungs level. But as we move down toward the tissues, how much has been dissociated? We can clearly see that the oxygen saturation at the tissue level of the left curve, it is the 85%. So we can see that at the tissue level only, you can say 30% of oxygen has been dissociated at the tissue level during the left curve due to the Haldane's effect. So we will calculate here that normal 98% of oxygen content was present in the arterial blood. But as we know that during this left curve, the hemoglobin is at its tense state, the dissociation is very difficult. That's why only 13% of oxygen has been dissociated at the tissue level. So 85% of oxygen. So at this level, the hemoglobin contains the 85% of the oxygen saturation, which means that from 98% only 13% has been unloaded. We will show it by calculating it at the venous blood, and 13% of oxygen only has been dissociated. So in this whole lecture we have talked about a lot of things. We have talked about the normal sigmoid curve, and we have told about what conditions actually force this normal curve to shift towards the right end due to the Bohr effect, and what are the conditions which actually force the normal sigmoid curve towards the left side due to the Haldane's effect. And we have also done some boring maths as well, but hope it would be very helpful for you. And last but not the least, don't forget subscribing MS Lectures. Thank you.